1. Remember to look up at the stars and not down at your feet. 2. Never give up work. Work gives you meaning and purpose, and life is empty without it. 3. If you are lucky enough to find love, remember it is there and don't throw it away. We are just an advanced breed of monkeys on a minor planet of a very average star. But we can understand the universe. That makes us something very special. Quiet people have the loudest minds. Life would be tragic if it weren't funny. Intelligence is the ability to adapt to change. Mankind's greatest achievements have come about by talking, and its greatest failures by not talking. With the technology at our disposal, the possibilities are unbounded. All we need to do is make sure we keep talking. Be curious. And however difficult life may seem, there is always something you can do and succeed at. It matters that you don't just give up. I have noticed that even those who assert that everything is predestined and that we can change nothing about it still look both ways before they cross the street. The victim should have the right to end his life if he wants. But I think it would be a great mistake. However bad life may seem, there is always something you can do and succeed at. While there's life, there is hope. One of the basic rules of the universe is that nothing is perfect. Perfection simply doesn't exist. Without imperfection, neither you nor I would exist. Primitive life is very common, and intelligent life is fairly rare. Some would say it has yet to occur on Earth. If time travel is possible, where are the tourists from the future? People who boast about their IQ are losers. The thing about smart people is that they seem like crazy people to dumb people. The downside of my celebrity is that I cannot go anywhere in the world without being recognized. It is not enough for me to wear dark sunglasses and a wig. The wheelchair gives me away. I don't think the human race will survive the next 1,000 years unless we spread into space. Humanity's deepest desire for knowledge is justification enough for our continuing quest. And our goal is nothing less than a complete description of the universe we live in. Nothing is better than reading and gaining more and more knowledge. We only have to look at ourselves to see how intelligent life might develop into something we wouldn't want to meet. If aliens ever visit us, I think the outcome would be much like when Christopher Columbus first landed in America, which didn't turn out very well for the Native Americans. To confine our attention to terrestrial matters would be to limit the human spirit. The idea of 10 dimensions might sound exciting, but they would cause real problems if you forgot where you parked your car. The human capacity for guilt is such that people can always find ways to blame themselves. I like physics, but I love cartoons. I'm not afraid of death, but I'm in no hurry to die. I have so much I want to do first. Be brave, be curious, be determined, and overcome the odds. It can be done. One is always a long way from solving a problem until one actually has the answer. Time and space are finite in extent, but they don't have any boundary or edge. They would be like the surface of the Earth, but with 2 more dimensions. It is not clear that intelligence has any long-term survival value. Government works best under the glare of public scrutiny. Absent such scrutiny, abuses occur. We each exist for but a short time, and in that time explore but a small part of the whole universe. People won't have time for you if you are always angry or complaining. The rate of progress is so rapid that what one learns at school or university is always a bit out of date. Only a few people can keep up with the rapidly advancing frontier of knowledge, and they have to devote their whole time to it and specialize in a small area. The universe does not behave according to our preconceived ideas. It continues to surprise us. I am just a child who has never grown up. I still keep asking these how and why questions. Occasionally, I find an answer. No matter how powerful a computer you have, if you put lousy data in, you will get lousy predictions out. The most remarkable property of the universe is that it has spawned creatures able to ask questions. If you are disabled, it is probably not your fault, but it is no good blaming the world or expecting it to take pity on you. One has to have a positive attitude and must make the best of the situation that one finds oneself in. When a book was published entitled 100 Authors Against Einstein, he retorted, "If I were wrong, then one would have been enough." When you're faced with the possibility of an early death, it makes you realize that life is worth living and there are a lot of things you want to do. Science is not only a disciple of reason but also one of romance and passion. There's a sick joke that the reason we have not been contacted by an alien civilization is that civilizations tend to destroy themselves when they reach our stage. But I have sufficient faith in the good sense of the public to believe that we might prove this wrong. Although quantum mechanics has been around for nearly 70 years, it is still not generally understood or appreciated, even by those that use it to do calculations. The most important point: that the universe is governed by a set of rational laws that we can discover and understand. In space, no one can hear you scream, and in a black hole, no one can see you disappear. Black holes might be useful for getting rid of garbage or even some of one's friends. The past, like the future, is indefinite and exists only as a spectrum of possibilities. Science is not only a disciple of reason but also one of romance and passion. We are in danger of destroying ourselves by our greed and stupidity. We cannot remain looking inwards at ourselves on a small and increasingly polluted and overcrowded planet. Time travel used to be thought of as just science fiction, but Einstein's general theory of relativity allows for the possibility that we could warp spacetime so much that you could go off in a rocket and return before you set out. My advice to other disabled people would be to concentrate on things your disability doesn't prevent you from doing well, and don't regret the things it interferes with. Don't be disabled in spirit as well as physically. In my opinion, there is no aspect of reality beyond the reach of the human mind. When one's expectations are reduced to zero, one really appreciates everything one does have. People won't have time for you if you are always angry or complaining. We only have to look at ourselves to see how intelligent life might develop into something we wouldn't want to meet. I believe the universe is governed by the laws of science. The laws may have been decreed by God, but God does not intervene to break the laws. It is no good getting furious if you get stuck. What I do is keep thinking about the problem but work on something else. Sometimes it is years before I see the way forward. In the case of information loss and black holes, it was 29 years. Science can lift people out of poverty and cure disease. That, in turn, will reduce civil unrest. There are plenty of dead scientists I admire, but I can't think of any living ones. This is probably because it is only in retrospect that one can see who made the important contributions. The whole history of science has been the gradual realization that events do not happen in an arbitrary manner, but that they reflect a certain underlying order, which may or may not be divinely inspired. Sometimes I wonder if I'm as famous for my wheelchair and disabilities as I am for my discoveries. I don't have much positive to say about motor neuron disease, but it taught me not to pity myself because others were worse off and to get on with what I still could do. I'm happier now than before I developed the condition. Science is increasingly answering questions that used to be the province of religion. Observations indicate that the universe is expanding at an ever-increasing rate. It will expand forever, getting emptier and darker. It is generally recognized that women are better than men at languages, personal relations, and multitasking, but less good at map reading and spatial awareness. It is therefore not unreasonable to suppose that women might be less good at mathematics and physics. I was never top of the class at school, but my classmates must have seen potential in me, because my nickname was Einstein. I have found far greater enthusiasm for science in America than here in Britain. There is more enthusiasm for everything in America. I first had the idea of writing a popular book about the universe in 1982. My intention was partly to earn money to pay my daughter's school fees. Many badly needed goals, like fusion and cancer cure, would be achieved much sooner if we invested more. Throughout history, people have studied pure science from a desire to understand the universe rather than practical applications for commercial gain. But their discoveries later turned out to have great practical benefits. We must develop as quickly as possible technologies that make possible a direct connection between brain and computer, so that artificial brains contribute to human intelligence rather than opposing it. Life would be tragic if it weren't funny. It would not be much of a universe if it wasn't home to the people you love. Science is not only a disciple of reason but also one of romance and passion. We are all different. There is no such thing as a standard or run-of-the-mill human being, but we share the same human spirit. I think computer viruses should count as life. I think it says something about human nature that the only form of life we have created so far is purely destructive. We've created life in our own image. The more you learn, the more you know. The more you know, the more you forget. The more you forget, the less you know. So why bother to learn? My goal is simple. It is a complete understanding of the universe, why it is as it is, and why it exists at all. When the going gets tough, the tough take a coffee break. Real science can be far stranger than science fiction, and much more satisfying. So next time someone complains that you have made a mistake, tell him that may be a good thing. Because without imperfection, neither you nor I would exist. Success is a relative term. It brings so many relatives. No one undertakes research in physics with the intention of winning a prize. It is the joy of discovering something no one knew before. Whether you want to uncover the secrets of the universe or you just want to pursue a career in the 21st century, basic computer programming is an essential skill to learn. The idea that we are alone in the universe seems to me completely implausible and arrogant. Considering the number of planets and stars that we know exist, it's extremely unlikely that we are the only form of evolved life. The development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race. Although I cannot move and I have to speak through a computer, in my mind I am free. You cannot understand the glories of the universe without believing there is some supreme power behind it. "30 years ago I was diagnosed with motor neuron disease and given 2.5 years to live. I have always wondered how they could be so precise about the half. If I have questions about the universe on my mind when I go to bed, I can't turn off. I dream equations all night. If I had to choose a superhero to be, I would pick Superman. He's everything that I'm not. To boldly go where no one has gone before. Love the neighbor, but don't get caught. Philosophers have not kept up with modern developments in science, particularly physics. Any physical theory is always provisional, in the sense that it is only a hypothesis. You can never prove it. The real challenge is to work out what aliens might actually be like. Doing a job right the first time gets the job done. Doing the job wrong 14 times gives you job security. The fact that no one understands you doesn't mean you're an artist. In a world that is in chaos politically, socially, and environmentally, how can the human race sustain another 100 years? Nuclear weapons need large facilities, but genetic engineering can be done in a small lab. You can't regulate every lab in the world. The danger is that either by accident or design, we create a virus that destroys us. The wise never marry, and when they marry, they become otherwise. There should be a better way to start a day than waking up every morning. Scientific discovery may not be better than sex, but the satisfaction lasts longer. The human failing I would most like to correct is aggression. It may have had survival advantages in caveman days, to get more food, territory, or a partner with whom to reproduce, but now it threatens to destroy us all. I'd say I don't believe in God, but I'm afraid He might hear me. Chaos, when left alone, tends to multiply. The human race shouldn't have all its eggs in one basket, or on one planet. Let's hope we can avoid dropping the basket until we have spread the load. Once I wept for I had no shoes. Then I met a man with no feet, so I took his shoes. I mean, it wasn't as if he was going to need them. The laws of science do not distinguish between the past and the future. Some individuals are better able than others to draw the right conclusions about the world about them and act accordingly. These individuals will be more likely to survive and reproduce, so their pattern of behavior and thought will become dominant.